So your son got in trouble in school today.
Really? Why? What happened?
I don't know. Do you talk to the kid or not?
What you mean? I talk
Get off your phone!
every single day.
Can you get off your phone?
I'm looking at stuff. I'm busy.
No, I'm trying to talk to you about our son.
Okay, I'm listening.
You don't hear that? His phone is going off, and that's probably some girl or something, and you don't even care. Do you even know what he's doing?
That's your job. You the father.
You're the mother!
Okay.
What the heck? Are you serious right now?
Yes.
Can you get off your phone?
Why? Why? I have to do my business here.
Eat your whatever the heck is on the plate,
What you mean?
which I don't even understand. I cooked this dinner and you don't even want it.
Because this is good. Sweets are good for you.
It makes you fat.
Yeah, it's alright. I'm plump. It'll be alright.
You need to talk to your son because he's acting up because you're not in his life. You're home, but you're not in his life.
So what are you doing?
I talk to him all the time.
Really?
We play basketball. We conversate all the time. That's how I know he got in trouble in school. Did you know he got in trouble in
his
school?
phone? Why you leave
Do
everything
you
on
check
me?
his phone?
Periodically.
Yeah, you don't do anything. You're a worthless mother. All right, everybody. Hello, everyone. How was the tour? Oh, I still got powdered donut on me. That was not planned when she threw that at me. I was like, what the heck? So that was not planned. We didn't know who was going to come in. We didn't know, we just, this was all freestyle, improv. As you can tell, we are good actors. So, you know. But let me tell you something. The table. Week 2 of the Blood series. And as you saw in that room, there were different scenarios. Some of you walked in and I was ignoring on the phone. Some of you walked in and she was drinking and not paying attention. Some of you walked in on an intense conversation about children. Some of you walked in and saw me throw the cup at her. Some of you walked in and saw when she threw food at me. The table is so important to have the blood on. I looked up and I began to study last night, and that was a dining room. Most people are supposed to eat in a what? In a dining room. The kids are still waving flags. It's cool. The definition of a dining room is a room in a house in which meals are eaten. How many people have dining rooms in their house? Do you eat in your dining room? Let's keep it real. If you don't eat in your dining room, raise your hand. After this week, after this message, that's the only place you're going to eat. I promise you. So the dining room is a place where conversations are had. It's a place where decisions are being made. It's a place where people have important dinners. It's a place where we have Thanksgiving and we thank God for what? The blessings of the year. Correct? So a dining room table is literally something that is so important, and I'll tell you why. Without it, many conversations won't be had. Because the dining room table, you invite friends to. The dining room table, you invite friends to, family to. You never invite the family to the bedroom. You never invite friends to the bedroom. Well, you shouldn't anyway. But here's the thing. This is where you invite friends. This is where you invite family. This is where you do business deals. A lot of times we forget the importance of this dining room. We thank God for provisions and blessings around the dinner table. But what I found interesting was the most comfortable place that Jesus can be found is at the dinner table. Because in the word it says that he reclines. Jesus loves the dinner table. He wants to be a part of your dinner table. He wants to be a part of your spiritual dinner table, which is this. He wants to be a part of your physical dinner table, which is where you are in your home. But it's interesting how the Bible is full of tables. The first table is the table of Passover, which is the Passover cedar. Anybody ever had a Passover cedar before? I know my wife and I have. We've been invited to it, and it's an amazing thing where the Jewish people remember when death passed over them. And you go, and there's lamb, and there's bitter herbs, and you dip them in salt water, and you eat them to remind you of the bitter tears that were shed by the Jews and all this stuff, right? And it is a table nonetheless, remembering how the Lord brought them out of the bondage of Egypt. And then Jesus gives us the table of communion, where we remember the sacrifice and the freedom from eternal bondage. The Jews were remembering the bondage of Egypt, and we remember every time we have communion the removal of our eternal bondage. The table is so important to Jesus that the Last Supper was at a dinner table. We don't think about it. We see that Leonardo da Vinci picture, and we just see a whole bunch of guys around and whatever. But think about it, what it was. It was dinner. Jesus loves to have dinner. He loves to have dinner. He loves to sit and eat. Watch this. You have the Last Supper at the dinner table. What's interesting to me is this. Watch this. The alabaster jar was broken at a dinner table. He was sitting with these men, and they were having dinner. And the woman comes in and breaks the alabaster jar during dinner time. Are y'all catching what I'm trying to show you here? Watch this. Jesus washes the disciples' feet during dinner. There's something about the table. When I first started this ministry, the Lord said, I want you to have tables. Did I know what he meant? Absolutely not. I just knew that's what we have. So every time you come here, Jesus wants to sit. Anytime you sit at your dinner table, just remember Jesus wants to sit. And he wants to have dinner. Because Revelation 3:20 says, look, I stand at the door and I knock. And if you hear my voice and open the door, I will come in and I will dine with you. And you with me. Watch this. Jesus wants to still break bread. But if the blood is not covered over your dining room table, Jesus can't break bread. Because he's not invited there. Some of us invite him only to the door right here, and that's it. We don't invite him to our dinner table. We don't invite him to our dining room. We don't invite him, like last week, to our bedroom. The bedroom is the place where we keep secrets, and things are done in that room that are either intimate or private. But this table right here is open. Generations are invited to this table. You sit around this table with generations, the mom and the dad and the grandma and the grandpa and the nieces and the nephews and the uncles and the aunts and everybody all together, but nobody wants to really talk because Jesus isn't at the center of the table. I'm reminded of a movie called Why Did I Get Married? Anybody seen that movie? Where did the biggest, ugliest moment happen in that movie? Over dinner. People started getting a little loosey-goosey with the wine. And then they started talking. And they started going at each other. And then they had some ratchet people at the table too. Because she got mad. She was like, no, for real. Tell them what you really mean. I was sitting there like, yo, this is crazy. Movie was nuts. And that conversation was crazy when he found out that his wife had aborted the baby so that she wouldn't stop her business. And he didn't know it, but other people knew it. How many people around your table know secrets that they don't? But we all eat together and smile. Judas smiled too at the table. The table. Judas sat there and let Jesus wash his feet while he was plotting his demise at the table. A lot of times people that break bread with you ain't always the ones that want to break bread with you. They just know that that table brings them to another place. Opportunists like to come to the table. But if you have the blood covering your table, an opportunist can't come to the table. Because the blood will point them out. It's interesting how even in the afterlife, after we're done and we're gone and we're out of here, there's something called the marriage feast of the Lamb. Guess what that's going to be at? At a table. Whoa! Another table. This table's eternal. This table we're sitting at this table, and everybody's going to eat. God loves tables. I think it's interesting how Jesus came to the earth, and his earthly father was a carpenter who makes. He could have been a fisherman. What's going on, brother? Amen. So he could have been a fisherman, right? But he wasn't a fisherman. He was a carpenter. And as a carpenter, what happens? He makes tables. So we have all this stuff going on at the table, but the one thing we don't have is what? Real conversations. Well, if you would have went into the room, when you went into the room, what did you see me and Marisol doing? We're arguing. We didn't talk. Immaturity. Did you notice the different things that were put there? Her plate had nothing but candy. Junk food. Right? And it was chock full of junk food. Like, that thing was up to the top. Like, wow. Mine had a steak that I kept cutting. That was my acting. I was like, the steak is going to run out. I don't have nothing else to cut. I can't cut mashed potatoes. I just start breaking the bread real slow. Something. But my plate was full of bread and meat and potatoes, hearty stuff. Then next to Marisol on the other side was a sippy cup and applesauce, because a lot of believers end up right there at that seat. Give me the sippy cup, give me the applesauce. Then there was one, if you noticed over here, it had some kind of potatoes and veggies, but it also had candy and marshmallows and stuff like that. And the chair was flipped over, because that's a double-minded believer. They can't even sit. Then over here, there was somebody that didn't even show up. They just didn't want to be there. There's some people that don't even want to come to your table, because they know what the conversation is going to be like. And there is somebody who does want to sit at that table, and his name is Jesus. He wants to sit at your table. You know, it's interesting. Go to Luke chapter 24, 36 through 43. Luke 24, 36 through 43. And I'm going to read the Passion Translation because I like the way the Passion Translation actually said it. So I'm going to read that. All right? Luke 24, 36 through 43. Here we go. While they were still discussing all of this, Jesus suddenly appeared right in front of their eyes. Startled and terrified, the disciples were convinced they were seeing a ghost. Standing among them, he said, "Be at peace. I am the living God. Don't be afraid." The words, "I am the living God, don't be afraid," are only found in the Aramaic text, okay? So just remember that. But watch this. Verse 38, "Why are you so frightened? Don't let doubt enter your hearts." What are you going to do when Jesus shows up to your table? It says here, verse 40, he showed them the pierced hands and feet and let them touch his wounds. The disciples were ecstatic yet dumbfounded, unable to fully comprehend it, knowing that they were still wondering if he was real. "Here, let me show you. Give me something to..." You want to know how real Jesus is? Let him come to your table. They were still trying to figure out, is this man real? Is he really there? Is that really, am I seeing a ghost? Is this a hallucination? Am I having an open vision? What is this? And the first thing that Jesus says after they touch the wounds and everything else, they're still trying to figure out, am I in a trance? Is this something that's going on? What is happening here? And Jesus tells them, "Give me something to eat." You know why? Because the best conversations that Jesus has had was at the table. And here's the thing, you ready? The Bible never shows Pharisees coming to the table. They complained about Jesus being at the table with the sinners and the tax collectors, but Jesus was comfortable at the table. Maybe what's happening is the fact that we're inviting people to church instead of our table, where we should be having conversations over meals that will end up having them come to get real food. Jesus never invited them to a church. He had conversations with people. In order for you to know somebody, you have to conversate with them, right? How many of y'all that are married right now, right? When you met your significant other, you just invited them to some place that was wild and crazy? No, right? What'd you do? Let's go out to eat. Let's go to a dinner table. Why? Because I want to know you. And usually it was a dim lit place. Really bougie. Because the fellas was trying to impress. Praying that the check went through. Wait until midnight. Whatever it may be.
Oh my God.
Hoping that joy hit. I actually read a story about that. Somebody had waited. They talked all the way till midnight till their transfer went through. But here's the thing. How did intimacy and the realness of you happen? That first date is fake. Let's keep it real. That first date, you put on your Photoshop self. It ain't until it gets like, okay, now we about to be real, that, you be walking, and then all of a sudden, you let your real laugh out. And they be like, "Oh, that's your real laugh?" "Yeah." "Oh, okay, cool. What was that other laugh that you was doing?" "Oh, no, that was my fake laugh. I didn't know if you'd like me if it was real." Isn't it crazy? Watch this. Isn't it crazy how we come to the dinner table with our fake selves? We do, don't we? You come to somebody else's house, you tell your children, y'all better act straight. Don't act like you act at the house, because I'm going to smack you when you get home. And your kids act perfect. They be at the table like, may I please have some more? Is there any more left? And the people are like, oh my gosh, your kids are so well behaved. You're like, you don't even know my kid. I'm giving you a Photoshop version of my family right now. Come over to Apostle's house. Y'all better not act up. And then you come to Apostle's house. I'm like, Elijah, yo, what are you doing? David, get upstairs. Navy, stop. Whoever been to my house knows I don't hold nothing. You're not getting no Photoshop from us. What you see here is what you get there. Period. If I got to yell at Elijah, I'm going to yell at him. I don't care if you're in my living room. But some people be like, just wait till they leave. No, I ain't wait till they leave. You won't get it right now. They're at my table. You're in my house. Listen, Tara's upstairs right now, but Tara lived with us for a while. And me and Marisol didn't be like, let's just wait to have an aggressive conversation when she leaves. No, we had it right in front of her, and she didn't know what to do. And she tried to get out. You ain't going to get up. You're going to sit right there and listen to us, whatever we're going to do. And she just, all she could do was this. Just look in the ceiling, and she was red as Marisol's sweater. Didn't know what to do. Like, where do I go? How do I hide? What do I? Why? Because my table is going to be real. A lot of people still, they don't even know how to be real at their own table. And that's why conversations aren't had real. Let's be honest, guys. If Jesus is inviting us to a table, he doesn't want us to be fake. He goes, behold, I knock. That means he's knocking at your kitchen door, trying to get in. He's knocking at the door of your heart, trying to get in, so that you guys can sit and eat together and have dinner together. That's why if you feel lonely, you shouldn't. Because there's somebody to sit at your table. His name is Jesus. And so Jesus sits at the Pharisees and the Sadducees' table, and I love how it says that he just reclines. Like he didn't have a worry, because he didn't come to the table fake. See, some of us, when we come to the table fake, and then we finally are like, you know what, I'm tired of doing this, I'm just going to be real, then somebody be like, but I didn't even know you. Hello? Depart from me, I never, because you came to the table fake every time. You came to the table fake every time. Instead of pouring your heart out, you just ask for blessings. And me being a good God, I did give you some, but I needed you to be real with me. When you come to the table, listen, I've had conversations at the table that were real. You know that we got to talk. Prepare yourself for that table talk. My wife watches a show, I think it's on Facebook, the Red Table Talk with, I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to get sued, but you know who I'm talking about. And those are some real conversations. But here's the thing. Why the world could do that and we can't? We take the table and what we want to do is throw a freaking doily over it and make it look beautiful. Throw some fake fruit on that joint. People come to your table like, man, I can't even eat this. I was hungry when you brought me here. And you gave me fake fruit. And the world knows how to talk. They have good conversation. I listen to some of them table talks, especially the entanglement one. My man, Smith Will, he tried to look like he was okay, but he was dying. As he was listening to the whole thing. Why? But that's a conversation that it was had at a table. See, if I bring you to my table, you better not be fake. And I brought people to my table that are fake and they ain't in my life no more. Because I can't deal with fake people. Period. If I'm going to be real and authentic with you and you're going to see a side of me, if I show you my backside and all you want to do is wear a Christian robe and not show me who you really are, then there's a difference here where I'm trying to give you water and you're not taking it. See, the table in that room, if you just got here, we'll let you go in the room later so you can see how the table looks. It looks crazy. The table in that room has so many scenarios of our lives. Some of us were on junk food all day long. Your parents didn't even nourish you. Eat whatever you want. Just go ahead and get it. Not thinking about what your future was going to be. Then there were some that still at 20 and 30 years old, they still got you on a sippy cup and applesauce. So when you get into leadership and you try to do something and somebody tells you no, oh, where's my sippy cup? I want my applesauce. You act like a baby. There's a lot of grown babies out there. The moment somebody say no to them, they're crying and complaining, and they want to stomp and throw a tantrum. That's when you get the belt. You smack it twice. Pa-pow! Huela esto. Sigue. Smell the belt. Smell this thing. You smell this? This is genuine leather. It's going to happen. Because we act like babies. We throw tantrums. And if not that, then we're the other person that has candy and good food, and you don't know what to do. Oh, I just want to be here, but then I don't want to be here. And I just want to serve the Lord, but I don't want to serve the Lord. And I don't know which way to go, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And everything is all over the place. It reminds me of that scene in Coming to America when they were trying to find a wife, and there was that one girl, well, I just want to be a director, and I want to be a music person, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And they were like completely lost because the woman had no direction. The last thing you want to do is be involved with people who have no direction. And I'm not saying that goals are not attainable and that maybe you're going to hit some hiccups on the way there, but if you're focused, you'll go. Keep going. And eventually that plate of sweets will turn into real food. But then I played a really self-righteous Christian over here. I had all my meat, but I treated my wife like crap. So I could be really nice at the table of Sunday service, but at the table of my home, I'm a mean dog. Because I got to make sure I present the best food for the people, while at home I'm giving them scraps. I'm going to sip. Why? Because here's the thing. And my wife catches me sometimes. Not lately, though. I've really grown into this and matured as a man. But when I was younger and I was youth pastoring and I was, just in my younger days of ministry, I always treated people better than I did my family. Then I realized them people going to leave me. And my family doesn't. This is advice for anybody trying to get into full-time ministry. Love people. Get connected to them. But they might leave you. Don't treat the people at home worse than you do the people that are here. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. But I've seen it. I've seen it in ministry where pastors and their wives end up divorced after the children leave because the pastor just spent all his time at the church. Never had any time with his wife. There was no intimacy, no nothing. Why? Because there was never a conversation at the table. The conversation was, we need to talk about budget cuts. Oh, we need to talk about this ministry. Oh, listen, I love this hub. I love the people here. But when I go home, I don't think about it. My wife does. And I'll tell you why. Because I got to be Eric somewhere. And Marisol didn't marry Apostle. She married Eric. And my kids didn't get born by Apostle. Their father is Eric. So I'll play 2K and lose to my sons and get frustrated and throw the remote control. I will. And I manifest a little bit. Because I'll be like, this close. And then they want to start showing out, and then daggone people don't want to defend and all that. Anyway. And I get mad. So I throw the controller. But who are they dealing with? They're dealing with their dad. But then there'll be times where I am Apostle. I'm like, did you read your word today? Oh, Dad. Did you read your word today? You got to know that this table has multifacets of yourself. I come to the table as a dad. I come to the table as a spiritual father. I come to the table as a husband. I come to the table as a son. I come to the table as a spiritual son. I come to the table as spiritual sibling. I have brothers and sisters. I have all this stuff. You got to remember, your table is going to be all who you are. The question is the blood on all of it? What does the table look like for you? Who are you at this table? I remember when I was living in New York, I hated it because everybody knew me as Blaze. I even wrote it in the song. I said, I can't remember what I said lyrically wise. It's been so long. Something of the fact of, Blaze, I wish no one knew my name because I treat my family worse. When I was in New York, my family was second to everything else. And you wonder why there was adultery and no love there. Was because I didn't put the family first. Ministry is family, then this. Right? So the table that you present, when Jesus comes and sit at that table, he's going to tell you, okay, maybe you don't need to drink this anymore. Maybe let's put a little bit of this in your life. Let's put a little bit of this. And you got to sit there and take what is given to you. Not push it to the side and be like, I like this better. Because what we do is we come and we just pick and choose what we want from the table. You saw how that table in there, you can pick and choose. Which chair you want to sit at, which place you want to eat from, you can pick and choose. But when it comes to life, you cannot pick and choose what you want if you are under the blood of Jesus. You have to do what Jesus says. You have to live under the rulership of Jesus, and this table has to be presented to him. Mark 2:15 says, later Levi invited Jesus and his disciples. Who's Levi? Matthew, right? So Levi is a tax collector that invites Jesus where? To his home as a dinner guest. As a dinner guest. And it says, along with many tax collectors and other disreputable sinners. There were many people of his kind among Jesus' followers. It's interesting how Jesus is more comfortable at a table than he is the synagogue. The synagogue, he gets dirty looks. They look at him in familiarity. But in the table, he's invited. So here's an ouch for you. Do you invite him to a synagogue or a table? Do you open the synagogue for him only? Or do you invite him into your home? Because a lot of times We invite them to the synagogue because that's the place that looks nice. Our home, though, let's keep it real. If you're in ministry, sometimes your home, if it's a busy weekend, you got conferences, whatever, you get home, you're home. You're like, I'm not even washing a dish. I will do it tomorrow because I'm just tired. But Jesus doesn't care about your home looking like that. He wants to be there. Why? Because it's not about the outward appearance of the home. It's about the inward appearance. It's about what's going on the inside of us. See, if we understand that we have a table that is here, it will be prepared all the time. You know, David said in Psalm 23, you go and prepare a table before my enemies. You know, that's really dope, right? God even wants to prepare a table for you. It doesn't say go prepare a bed, prepare a bedroom. Why? Because he wants people to see that you're eating. What the world call it when you're making a lot of money and you're doing really well? Bread, right? Yo, he got bread, that boy eating. Tell me that's not how they talk. Tell me that's not the lingo. Yo, that boy got a lot of bread, he eating, he feeding everybody. Why? Because his table has something to offer. And Jesus is the living bread, and his table is endless, and he got bread to offer everybody. But what we do is, and I can't stand it, I'm telling you, I don't know when the Lord's going to give me clearance, but I am going to do a series called I Can't Stand Christians. I'm telling you, I'm going to. I really am. Because what happens is this. We get greedy with bread. We get greedy with this, and we get greedy with that. Because why? Oh, my cup is overflowing. But then what you do is grab another cup of your own and another cup, and before you know it, you're filling all your cups. Your cup is supposed to overflow into someone else's cup. Not the cup that you're supposed to get another one, and you're just like, yep, keep filling me, Lord. Keep filling me, Lord. Keep filling me, Lord. And all you're doing is getting filled up, but you're not spilling over. So you're at a table, and you'll be like, well, which one can I grab? None, they're all mine. We can't do that any longer. The world is hungry for real food, and we have the table, and we're not giving them nothing to eat. All we're doing is presenting fake food for them. And the world give you whatever you want, but there's poison inside. You know, it's interesting how it was a fruit that was bitten in the garden, and how a garden is what Adam was taking care of. Because what do you do with all that distribution? Where does it end up at? Does food end up in your bedroom? I hope not. That's nasty. Does food end up in your bedroom? Where does food end up? On the table. When you make a good pernil, where does it end up at? On a table. When you cook a good apple pie, or you make some banging brown banana pudding pie. Nobody caught that, but you know what I'm saying. I said brown, they're thinking the color. No, I'm thinking the people that make it. Terrence knew what I was saying. He laughed right away. Because that banana pudding pie is the bomb. And where does it come? When y'all come to the mix, where's the food prepared? When you grab your food, where do you bring it to? You see how much we are around tables, but we don't even think about it? We're around a table all the time. And sometimes we don't want to even be at that table. Sometimes we're put in tables that we don't even qualify for. But it's God doing it. God goes, I'm going to prepare a table for you. I'm going to get a place for you. I'm going to put a place for you to have a table. And for me, when I look at a table, I think about it as this. This is where I'm going to either present something or it's going to be presented to me. And if you're cooking, you want your spread to look really good, right? You don't want it to look messy. Could you imagine you're cooking, but your spread is nasty? People pass by people that are really, 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 really strong in the Lord, but because they're nasty, they just walk right by them like, I can't eat from there. Because they're nasty and they're mean and they're self-righteous and they have their nose up in the air and they don't look at people and they don't know how to conversate with humanity and all. But they had the food, they just put together nasty. We keep ourselves at a disadvantage when the table's not clean. The table got to be clean. What can wash away my sin? So what needs to be on your table? It cleans it. It cleanses it. And then he goes, okay, now it's all clean. Now you can start putting food out. What happens is we don't have the cleanliness, but we want to distribute the food. We want people to come to the table, but we're not ready for it. And then when people get sick off of your food, you blame somebody else, but you were the one that cooked it. You were the one that got it ready. That's what immature believers look like. Oh, I'm ready to give the world everything. I'm ready to do it all for Jesus. But you're not even cleansed. You're not fully dipped. Your food is not prepared correctly. And I know your food's not prepared correctly because all you ever talk about is just being an apple when you're supposed to be a fruit of the Spirit. It's funny how he says we're fruit of the Spirit, which means that we present ourselves at a table every day. People pick and then eat at a table. Most of us, the one thing, if you move into a new apartment, right? You move into a new place. I remember when we moved into our apartment, Regency East, back in 99, I think it was. Something like that. The first thing we needed to get was what? It wasn't the furniture. It was this, because you don't want to eat on the floor. So the very first thing that should go into a house should be because why? This is where you eat. This is where you talk. This is where you have conversation. This is where decisions are made. Things are done here. People are brought here. You know why I gave my keys to the car to Zion? It was at the kitchen table. It wasn't in my bedroom. It wasn't in the basement. I brought him to the table of opportunity and blessing, and I gave him the keys. It's funny how when you sign over to buy a house, you don't sign it on the floor, you sit at a table with the realtor right in front of you, and you're happy as all get out, and then you get the keys. You don't take a test unless you sit at a desk or something like this. You see how important it is, but we don't even think about it. We don't even think about the importance of that and how that is something that God actually uses as a way to speak to us. It's the table. Why are you at the table? You know, when Marisol and I first connected with Apostle Ryan, and we were in Atlanta one time, and we were sitting there, and we're sitting at this table, and it's a U-shaped table, and I'm looking out, and me and Master looking at each other. Prophet Yolanda's right there. Apostle Oscar Gabodia, Apostle Charlie, we got Apostle Jordan McGee, everybody all around. And me and Master looked at each other like, how the heck did we end up at this table? But we were at a what? And here's the thing. While adults talk, children be quiet. Right? Because adult conversations. But when children talk, we listen. Listen, my wife and I, when we try to have everybody at the table, right? Nevi loves to say things. But the thing is that when she's saying them, it's like, spit it out, man. Y'all don't have no kids like that? We'll just be like, and then Elijah gets frustrated. David gets frustrated. I get frustrated. Marisol's trying to okay, honey, yeah, let's, and finish. Say what you're going to say. And most of the time, I forgot. You just interrupted a really deep conversation to say something that has no meaning whatsoever. Y'all all laughing because you guys know either you've done it or you had children that done it. Or you yourself were the one that did it when you were a kid. Just wanting to hear yourself talk. Sometimes these tables are not for you to talk at. Just eat what's presented to you because the one presenting it to you is giving you something for nourishment. A lot of times when I get in a table and I hear people that are smarter than me or they have more wisdom than me, I don't try to interrupt and put my 2 cents at the table. I just stay quiet. The worst conversation to have at the table is a I know conversation. You say something, oh, I know. You say, oh, I know. No, I know. How you know what's about to come out of my mouth before I say it? Just tell me to shut up. Because usually when you're saying I know, it's because you want them to be quiet. You don't know nothing. You just know you want them to stop. Because the truth hurts, and it's hitting you hard, and you want to leave that table. Is this hitting you in your gut? Because we're all guilty of the I know demon. All of us. Marisol say something to me, I know. Really, I just don't want to hear her. Why? Because sometimes what is presented here is food that you don't like, but you need to eat. A lot of people don't like vegetables, but you're supposed to eat them. If you don't like vegetables, you better start eating vegetables. I don't care who it is. Everybody getting offended now. Don't step on me. No, I'm not going to eat vegetables. Then you don't want to grow. I know, right? The atmosphere is just like shifted. All I said was vegetables. Sheesh. Que clase de sweet tooth spirit we got in here. Fuera. Listen, we present things at this table sometimes. I remember when Marisol made me Brussels sprouts the first time. I was like, okay. And I tried it. And I like them. But it hadn't been presented to me at the table, I would have never ate it. Sometimes you got to eat what's at the table to know what's good for you. Some people just eat at anybody's table. You know their cat was all over the table, right? Like, you don't even know what people... If you eat off of everybody's table, it just means that you're a glutton. You eating off of everybody's table. You don't look at what table is being presented. And the reason why you eat off everybody's table is because you don't have the blood to show you. It's going to give you direction. I don't see the blood on that table. I sense the blood on this one. This one is just all about themselves and what they want and what they just trying to get money from me, whatever it may be, whatever it is, right? And then you got to remember, every opportunity is not a God opportunity at the table. I remember, and I'm not going to say any names, and I'm not going to say the name of the company, but some of y'all in this room know what I'm talking about. There was an awesome opportunity at a certain church to do something with a phone company. And everybody wanted to be a part of this. And then everybody joining. And most people lost money. Oh, don't worry, we're gonna. It was presented by the church, though. We cannot do scams in church. That's right. Jesus flipped tables because of that. The table has to be pure. It's the table of showbread. It's the pure table. You got to look it up. I'm not going to go into it. Go into the Old Testament and look at the tabernacle. You'll find out about the showbread. It's in the tabernacle. But the thing about this table is this, and I'm almost done, guys. Got two more things. We're going to eat dinner with Jesus in heaven as his bride. The groom is preparing everything. And the table is being prepared. You know, we have Pastor Margos and Pastor Mel getting married next month, which means that they're, amen. Today's their anniversary, as a matter of fact. Give a shout out. But here's the thing. Their table is being prepared. So that when they sit at their table, what's presented to them is good to eat. And there's a bride and a groom coming together. The bride is being prepared to sit at a table. And you have an opportunity to be at that table. That's a long table. That table is going to be for eternity. But everybody's going to eat. So the bride is being prepared for the table. But here's the last thing. And this is where, my gosh, this is where we know the blood is on the table. When you can sit with your enemies. Jesus sat at the table right next to the one who would betray him. He didn't go, you're not allowed at the table. A lot of times what we try to do is control who sits at our table. You're not God, nor are you the angels that are going to sift the wheat from the tare. The wheat and the tare must grow together, which means they will sit together too. But when they bud, you'll see who's a wheat and who's a weed. Jesus sits at the table, and they're eating. They're eating the bread and dipping and all that stuff, and he begins to say, this is my body which is broken, and he breaks it. Because the table is a place of brokenness. He breaks the bread, and he said, this is my cup of the new covenant, and drink this. So now you have the wine or whatever it was that was in the cup, and then the bread, and then he goes, and the person that I dip my hand with, go and do what you have to do. And he dips, and he takes it out, and he tells Judas, go. And he sits there, and he begins to tell what's about to happen at the table. When Jesus sat at that table, he knew who was who. Peter, you're going to deny me. Judas, you're going to betray me. The rest of you are going to run away from me. You still got to be able to sit at the table. Many of you run from your own table because you can't deal with your loneliness. You sit there and, man, this one was here for a while. They're not here no more. I really thought this one right here, man, we were eating the same thing. It was really good. Then all of a sudden, they found another table, so they left. This person here, we just didn't see eye to eye. It just didn't work. And sometimes you got to remember that although Jesus wants us to have tables for our friends, David said, you're preparing a table before my. So your table will sit both. And your reaction, whether it's a road rage, a roadblock, or a roadway, depends on what blood is smeared on it. Do you have the blood of the casualties? Or do you have the blood of the Lamb on your table? Jesus says, behold, I stand at the door and I knock. I'm not knocking to come into your bedroom. I'm not knocking to come into your living room. I'm not knocking to come into your basement. I'm not knocking to come into your playroom. I'm not knocking to come into your car. I'm coming to dine with you in your table. I stand at the door and I knock. Watch this. And then it goes, if you hear my voice, which means he's going, Eric, Marcos, Bryant, Marshana, Anna, Rich. And what's going to happen is that knocking is going to because you didn't take advantage of the opportunity to open it. It doesn't say he's coming to rebuke you. It doesn't say that he's coming to condemn you. It doesn't say that he's coming to change you. It says, I want to eat with you. Why? Because that's where Jesus has conversation. That's where he has conversation. We've been ignoring a conversation for too long. We want everybody else to fill that conversation up when it's really this conversation that you need to answer. You can meet and talk to everybody and they can give you solution and they can help you, but that conversation has nothing to do with Revelation 3:20. It's the only conversation that is going to change everything. And some of y'all right now feel the knocking on your heart. You feel it. I'll never forget when I felt it. 21 years ago, in a couple weeks, sitting in a church sanctuary, and my heart was doing this. If your heart is beating fast, it's because that's a knock. It was doo-dum, 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 doo-dum. I was sitting there, and I knew that knock was something that I was going to have to answer. And y'all running from that knock. You're using a spiritual ring to see who's there. Nope, that's a package I don't want. But he said, I'll only come. Look at what it says. If you open the door. You have to hear and open. hear and open. You realize Jesus does not walk into your life. You invite him in. The same way you invite a friend to your kitchen table. The same way you invite family to come over to have dinner, or you have your friends come over to have dinner, and you open up that door and you're so happy to see them, and you're smiling and cutting up and be like, yo, dinner's almost done, guys. Go ahead and just have a seat, and we'll be eating at the table shortly. We'll eat at the table shortly. And everybody's like, man, it smells so good in here. I can't wait to eat. But yet, Jesus is outside your door like, I don't get an invite? You letting everybody else in. You don't let me in? I've been knocking for 10 years. I've been through every storm that you've been through. I wiped down the windows when you couldn't see. I'm trying to help you. But you're inviting everybody else in. Everything else is coming in. And I'm knocking. 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 And I'm screaming your name. If you hear my voice, he's not whispering. He's saying your name loud. But because you're not his sheep, you don't know his voice. My sheep know my voice. I knock. Open the door if you hear my voice. Bring me to your table. I'm going to show you what needs to be rearranged and how I can fill this up. And maybe this doesn't need to be at your table. Maybe you need to bring a different type of communication. Don't bring this to the table anymore. Bring this to the table and let me speak to you. The Bible app is cute. Oh, that's praise. No, get in this. I read my word today. It was on the U version. No, that's the U version. How about you get the original version? And let him sit at this table. I can feel it in the atmosphere. Many of y'all are still not wanting to open that door because you're afraid of letting him see your furniture. Who cares if it's a mess? He didn't come so that you would run away from him because you're a mess. You run to him because he's a mess. You open the door because you're a mess. He's the interior decorator. He's the maintenance guy. He's the one that cleans out the house. You're trying to clean out the house yourself. You can't do it. He cleans out the house. But it starts with a knock. Many of you are running from that knock. I'm going to tell you right now, if you run from that knock, you won't hear that trump. You won't hear that call. You got to open your ears. You guys know in this room, those who are watching online, you know that God has been knocking and knocking and knocking and knocking and knocking. I'm telling you, it's evident that he's knocking on the earth right now. He's knocking at the heart of believers, not just lukewarm Christians, but those who are going to say, I'm going to live this thing out. I'm going to prepare my table. And if it looks messy, it's okay. I still want to sit and talk with him. I'm still going to open the door. I'm still going to bring him in. Listen, Jesus, I'm sorry that this looks like this. I know I should have let you in a long time ago, but I was embarrassed of what my house looked like. But I'm not embarrassed anymore. You know why? You know why? Because I'm tired. You ever get to the point where it's like, man, I don't care, just come in my house. It looks a mess, but just come in. And what does the person usually say? Oh, doesn't look that bad. Or, oh, you know what? It's okay. It's been rough. You think Jesus ain't going to have compassion? You think he's going to come in and be like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. This is atrocious. Look at this house. How did you let it get like this? No, he's not. He's going to walk in and be like, I can fix that. I can fix that. This right here, I can fix this. And the things that need fixing, you're trying to be like, okay, let me wait till Jesus is going to come in. So let me duct tape this so that when he comes in, it looks like it's standing straight. You open the door. Hey, how you doing, Jesus? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I'm good, thank you. I appreciate you coming in. You know, I'm busy though. So like, I'm gonna give you like 5 minutes and then you gotta go. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes. Then I gotta get back to my day because this, I understand you wanna fix it, but I'm gonna do it on my own. He's a carpenter for a reason. Your table may be wobbly, but he's coming to fix it. It might need a new color. And so he goes, this is nice. I'm going to make it red, though. I'm going to make it red. It's going to be like that cool chameleon type of stuff. So when it looks red, some people will see it and see white, but it's really red. I'll make it look different when it shimmers in the light. But you got to let me in. Got to let me in. Don't run from this, guys. The days are evil. And you need somebody in your house cleaning house. And you need rearranging. And this is not a bad thing. You act like an upgrade is bad. It's just the fact that you have to deal with the foundation. And nobody wants to let nobody in. I remember when Marisol, when we were getting our house done, and the city of Vineland approved us, and they started coming into the house, and Marisol was like, how many days of this? They got to come in my house. And she was in her in the office area, and she didn't want to like really be around because things were being ripped out, and all you heard was construction happening, and things were popping and pow, and all this other stuff, and wood chipping and everywhere, and for me, I was just like, I'm trying to see everything that's happening. She didn't want to see it, right? Why? Because sometimes the demolition is not pretty, but it's necessary. I would have never been able to have my house renovated if I didn't let those men through my door. And what's interesting is that they gave me a new door. I let them in to give me a new door. So you let him in, he's going to give you a new door. He's going to give you new siding. He's going to give you a new table that's going to be presentable, and it's going to look like, oh my gosh, look, who did this table? Jesus did it. What's that aroma? Oh, it's the blood. It's just covered. It's dripped. I'm letting it just flow completely. Matter of fact, it's my tablecloth. This is the opportunity now. I'm going to tell you like the pastor told me 21 years ago. Don't wait. I had been through many altar calls before that, and I just knew God was calling me, and he was saying, this is it, Eric. You can't run no more. And I was like, man, I'm not going to have my friends anymore. I can't wild out anymore. I was all thinking modification in my head. And the blood was thinking sanctification. Most of y'all in your head right now are modification. I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't talk to this. I can't do this. But it literally bypasses everything when the blood covers it. Because now, I'm not who I was. And I didn't have nobody pointing fingers at me telling me to change. It was the Holy Spirit. But it started with an open door. You know how we in this church, here at the Hub, we like to say, close all doors. But today I'm telling you, open one. Open one. It's the one that's going to change your life forever. See, because you can accept Jesus but never let him in. Because letting him in means he comes in. I in him and him in me. We are one. Unless you are within me and I am within you. That's what he says in his word. And we fight this. I want Jesus on the outside, not on the inside. Most churches leave him right at the door. And then sing his name while he's knocking. Hello, let me in. Let me in. He's knocking right now. He's knocking online right now. Who's going to open the door? Who's going to open the door? See, you can't be embarrassed about this. This can't be let me look around and see who's going to stand up first. Who's going to open the door? Who's going to open the door?